Hi, my name is Andrea Brockbank. Welcome to my workshop, Leaning into Health and Harmony. This is a visioning and self-care workshop for teachers. It's with great excitement that I get to share with you the tools that are here today. And before I start on that workshop, I'd really like to take a moment just to acknowledge Kim and the incredible ECTA team for overcoming the challenges that were involved in taking this from a live conference to an online event. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this workshop with you today. So without any further ado, I'm going to share with you my PowerPoint. Okay, and from the beginning. So this is leaning into health and harmony, like I said. And why do we even do health and harmony? Why is that important for teachers? This gorgeous looking fellow here, his name is Herophilus, and he was an ancient Greek physician. And what he said was, when health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself, art cannot manifest, strength cannot fight, wealth becomes useless, and intelligence cannot be applied. The way I interpret this is that health and harmony, or health and peace of mind, are everything in our lives. And yet so much of our time, so many of us take this for granted. There was another incredible man called Napoleon Hill who wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. And he did a study. He was commissioned to study hundreds of the most successful people around the world. And what he found, that they had 17 principles by which they lived. The first of these 17 principles was you have to have peace of mind. And the second was that the importance of physical vitality. So having health and harmony is essential to us living a balanced, incredible life, one that we really enjoy living. And after working in the health industry for over 30 years, I see the effects of not having your health. And I see how much we take this for granted. So congratulations on being here on this call with me. Teachers, wow, what an amazing job you do. This was a teacher wrote this in a report back in 2013, and she said, in one day we not only teach, we manage behaviour, we plan lessons, we assess learning, we counsel students, we carry out first aid, we reply to a long list of emails, we write reports, we tidy classrooms, we create resources, we mark books, and we create displays. The list is endless. Wow, that is awesome. And on top of that, I would say that each and every one of you does a lot in supporting the parents of the students that you're teaching. This is huge, and this is only your work life, let alone balancing your personal life in amongst all of this. So your challenges are enormous. There was a recent study done in 2019 by a professor at the Bond University, and her name is Peter Stapleton, and she says that in her study, she found that over half of Australian teachers suffer from anxiety and nearly 1/5 are depressed. When a teacher's mental health is affected, it may undermine their capacity to promote well-being in students. It's so hard for us to give to anybody when we're giving from a depleted sense of being. When we're giving from a cup that may have a tiny drop in the bottom of it, when we do this, we end up feeling resentful, bitter. When, on the other hand, we're giving from a cup that's full and overflowing, it doesn't feel like any effort. It just happens so naturally. And the tools that I'm going to share with you today will enable you to give from that sense of being, of overflowing, rather than feeling that sense of depletion. She goes on to say within this study that alarmingly 17% screened positive for having probable alcohol abuse or dependence. And on top of this, in a report that was in The Conversation in May 2019, it said that almost every Australian teacher has been bullied by students or their parents, and it's taking their toll. And certainly in the research that I was looking through, it did say that there was so much bullying that goes on for teachers. Have a consideration of your own life. Have there been times throughout your career that you felt you've been bullied, either by the hierarchy, by other teachers, your colleagues, by parents, or by your students? And the challenges that that presents for you in your life. I invite you to really consider, keep it even a corner of your mind open to the possibilities as I go through this workshop today. And if you apply what I'm sharing with you, how that can transform your life. So what we're going to cover, I did send out a flyer which had a whole list of objectives, but I've put that into 3 simple objectives for you here today. I'm going to teach you a really easy exercise which will help you to de-stress easily and effortlessly anywhere you are, and it works amazingly. I'm also going to teach you the power of your thoughts and how changing these thoughts can change the results, the outcomes that you're experiencing in your life profoundly. And I'm also going to share with you a system of visioning to help move you into more joy, health, and harmony in your life. So really awesome stuff. I did send out a little worksheet, a little flyer, and it has this on it, which is my commitment to me. And I invite you to have a pen and paper with you at the moment as you're watching this video recording. I invite you to write down at least 6 strategies from this that you can use in your life to help you overcome the challenges that you're experiencing, and to commit to at least one of these activities every day for the next month. If you do that, you're going to change your life. They say it takes 21 days to change a habit. Doing it for a whole month, it's going to make an enormous difference. So just do it. Before we start, I want to invite you to consider what brought you to teaching. What was your vision? We all have a vision for everything we do in our life. Even when we get in the car and we're going to go to the supermarket, we have a vision of the supermarket in mind. So what was your vision that brought you to teaching? Was it that you had this deep love for children? Was it that you thought, yes, I really have a profound desire that's within me to really make a difference in the lives of children? Was it that you had been taught by someone in your life who was an amazing teacher and you wanted to emulate what they did? Or you may know someone in your family or in your personal life who you really have a great deal of respect for, and you go, yes, I'm going to be like them. Or it may have been that you've watched one of those romantic comedies where they have the really sexy teacher and she falls madly and deeply in love with the single dad and gets brought apples every day. What was it for you? All of us have a dream, a vision that brings us to where we are in our particular profession in life. As you consider this, think about the day you first started. I'm sure you started off feeling like, yes, I'm going to make such a difference in the world of teaching. You stepped into it, you looked smart, you felt smart, you were full of energy, enthusiasm, and motivation. And what about now? Do you still feel like that? Or is this more perhaps how you're feeling? What do you feel in your life right now? Sometimes it can be this, and it wouldn't be surprising. In a study that was done, they showed that teachers report the highest level of occupational stress in Australia, in the United Kingdom, and in America. They're on the highest level, up there with nurses. Really huge. So if you do happen to feel a bit like this woman here, you're not alone. And today I'm going to share with you some strategies that you can use to go back to feeling more like this woman. So why do we feel like that? Why do we feel frazzled? It's because we've activated our autonomic nervous system response, and in particular, our sympathetic response. We have a thought. It's a stressful thought. And what that stressful thought does is it triggers our amygdala. And our amygdala is a part of our brain that releases then all of these stress chemicals. So cortisol, adrenaline, and it gets us into this space where we can get away from the danger that's around us. We have all of the bloods rushing to our extremities, and we're ready to run, or we're ready to fight, or we just feel frozen. It shuts down our prefrontal cortex so we can't think. It sets our heart racing, our breathing becomes very rapid, our mouth can become dry, and we can feel really weak at the knees and quite sweaty. They're the physiological responses from setting off the stress response in our body. On the other hand, we have this gorgeous little guy here, and he's in the parasympathetic response. So in this, our cortisol levels and our adrenaline levels have gone right down. And what's happening is our IgA, which is one of the major building blocks or proteins of our immune system, is going up. So you can see then why, if we're in a continued and chronic state of stress in our life, that we are depleting our immune system, and it opens us up to disease, to illness. And this is essentially important at the moment when we've been faced worldwide with the COVID-19. So we want to, as much as we can, allow ourselves to be in this space. Then we can respond rather than to react in certain situations. But how do we do that? How do we go, okay, let's turn off this sympathetic response when it's been something that's so conditioned in us, and turn this one on? I'd like to invite you to consider this beautiful little blade of grass, or this little plant. And it's been affected by life. And I invite you just in this moment to take a deep breath and to connect to your breath. None of us can breathe ourselves. We can't make our heart beat. Something is doing that for us, and that something is life. Just the same as the life that's pulling this little seed that was under the ground up through the cement. And the Talmud says that every blade of grass has an angel leaning over it, whispering to it, grow, grow, grow. And that blade of grass will push through cement, seeking the light. I love to say to myself, wow, if that can happen for a blade of grass, what's happening for me? What's happening for all of the people around me? What has a human being in its line of potential? And how do we connect to this life force? Well, the way we connect to it is through our breath. We connect to our breath. Just as I said, we can't breathe ourselves, we can't make our heart beat. And mindfulness talks about this so beautifully. It talks about the power of connecting to our breath, being mindful of it as you breathe it in through your nose down into your lungs, and just feel that within yourself. Then I invite you to take it one step further and do this technique, which is rectangular breathing technique. So what you do is you start here. You breathe in for 6, or you might like to make it 8 and 4 if you like, whichever works best for you. So breathe in for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold for 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep doing that. When you feel yourself becoming stressed inside, when you feel some of those physiological responses that I mentioned earlier, take a step, just pause, and then do this breathing technique. Connect to your breath, and then continue to do this until you feel calm. What it actually does is it disengages your sympathetic response and it re-engages your parasympathetic response. You may have to do it for a couple of minutes. It won't happen on the first one. But if you keep doing it and practice it and work with it, it can become a habit for you. So I invite you to go ahead and write this as one of the strategies that you can use on your commitment to me. It works really well. I've used it in so many different situations, life-threatening situations when I was nursing, and it made an enormous difference to me, being able to switch back on that prefrontal cortex so I could think. Because when that's disengaged, we're not really a great deal of help for anybody. So give it a go. My promise to you today is that I'm going to share with you everything I can in the time that we have together. At the end of this, a lot of you are going to want to take this information further. And for those of you who do, I have an amazing gift, which I'm really excited to bring to you as part of the ECTA conference today. So stay tuned for that. They say the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our thinking. And so many of us get caught up in patterns of thinking, and we don't even realize we're doing it. They're habits, unconscious patterns, paradigms that keep us limited in the way we live our life. They say we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. And of these, 90% are the same as the day before, which are the same as the day before, which are the same as the day before. And they say of these, about 85% are negative. So imagine if we're continuing to think those same thoughts, we're creating those same patterns, which are predominantly negative in our life. So today I'm going to invite you to, firstly, recognize what those thoughts are. Secondly, Go, where did they come from? And thirdly, I'm going to give you a system of being able to change what you're thinking. Really powerful. And the first step I want to do is share with you one of my mentor, Mary Morrissey's story, because it's a great example of how the power of this works in our life. And Mary had an upbringing that most people would dream of. She had a great family life. She had a childhood that was incredible. She was in high school and she had incredible success. She had lots of friends around her. She was very athletic. She had honours in her schoolwork. She was the lead in the play. She was the queen at the junior prom. And she just had lots and lots of success around her. At that time, it was just before she was ready to go into her final year of school. Her boyfriend, who she'd been with for a while, he'd gone away. He came back for the summer break. She fell pregnant. She told her parents, and she said her mother wept for her like she had died. She said during the break, they organised a very quick 10-person wedding, and she went back to school. She said she confided in one of her favourite teachers at the time, and it wasn't long before she was called into the principal's office. And this was back in the year 1966. So being a single mum or being a teenage mum wasn't a good thing. And the principal at the time said to her, Mary, are the rumours I'm hearing about you true? And she says, well, if it's that I'm pregnant and married, then yes, they are. And he said, well, we can't possibly have a girl like you at this school mixing with all the normal girls. You're going to have to go to a school that's after hours, and it's where all the delinquent boys go and the pregnant girls. And Mary just thought, wow, I know where that school is. And she said, and I'm not even game to drive there in the daylight hours, let alone attend school there after hours with delinquent boys and pregnant girls. But she did, and she went on to complete her schooling there. Fast forward, her little baby boy is 7 months old, and Mary finds herself in 1967 in intensive care ward. She had one of her kidneys was totally destroyed by nephritis, and the other kidney was 50% destroyed. She said she was due to go to theatre the next day. She'd seen several doctors, specialists, and the best they could offer her was taking her to theatre, removing the kidney that was 100% destroyed, and hoping that after that they would be able to get the toxicity down in her body enough so that she would have 6 months of living. This was back before the time of dialysis, and it was the best they could offer her. Mary was terrified. Her mum was looking after a little boy, and it was late at night. She said it was about 9-10 o'clock at night, and this woman appeared at her door. And she introduced herself as the hospital chaplain, and she said to Mary that she was offering prayer for those who were going to theatre the next day. And Mary said, here she was, a 17, 18-year-old young girl, and she said she was just thought about the God of her upbringing. And she said he was a really scary place to a really scary guy, I should say, and not a place that you would go to if you were feeling scared. And she said the chaplain came in and just sat and talked to her. She said it wasn't prayer as she'd known it. And she said, Mary, tell me what's been going on for you over the last couple of years. And Mary shared her story. And the chaplain said to her, Mary, what I hear is that you love your little boy very much. However, you've been thinking some very toxic and shameful thoughts toward yourself. She said, do you think it would be possible that the toxicity in your body is a reflection of the thoughts you've had about yourself? And Mary said, no. She said, this was 1967. It was well before body and mind connection was readily available in the press. She had no idea about this. And the chaplain went on to say, Mary, do you believe that if we start thinking really loving thoughts towards yourself, that you could actually heal your body of the disease that's going on? And Mary said, no, she didn't. And she realized that she'd been feeling guilty. She realized that she'd been feeling like she'd shamed her family, she'd shamed herself, she'd shamed her school. So she realized this deep feeling of shame within her. And so the chaplain went on and she said, okay, if you can't believe that, what about we fill your body with the thoughts of love and we pretend that we sweep all of the thoughts, all of the disease that's in your partially destroyed kidney into your kidney that's 100% destroyed. And then tomorrow when they take you to theatre and they remove the 100% destroyed kidney, they take with it all of the disease. And then when you come out of theatre, rather than getting worse and dying in 6 months, you actually get better. And Mary said she still couldn't believe, but she said it was the first time she chose to believe in the belief of somebody who was thinking at a much higher level than she was. She said she went to theatre the next day and the doctors removed the kidney that was 100% destroyed. And they said the other one didn't look as bad as what they had originally thought it was. And over the next 6 months, instead of getting worse, she did get better. She healed. And she said she became what she called a sponge for all transformational lessons, all transformational principles and teachings. And it's from a lot of the work and the study that she's done over the last 50 years that I bring you this work today. She's now 71 years old and she is full of vibrant health and energy, and she is a powerhouse of love, an amazing woman. So let's take a look at your life. And we have 4 domains of our life that I like to work with. The first is our health and well-being. And we've established right from the start of this workshop that without this, we've got nothing. The second is our love and relationships. And that includes an intimate relationship if you have one, if you even want one, and all other relationships. So relationships with your colleagues, relationships with your family, your children if you have them, your parents, your friends, with your work. Also your career, your creative expression, your vocation, and your time and money freedom. So the amount of time you have and the amount of money you have to enjoy that time, a real balance between them both. So I invite you to consider your life at the moment and what that looks like in all of those different 4 domains. And ask yourself a question. Do you have a challenge in any of those areas of your life now? Just have a little bit of a think. Are there any areas of your life where you have a challenge? I know there are for me. And some of my amazing mentors have all said that if we're in this human experience, we all have challenges. It's a part of us growing. It's a part of us becoming freer, fuller, and more expanded than where we were previously. But how do we deal with those challenges? The way we deal with them either is that we pitch a tent in them and we stay there, or that we take the steps we need to walk slowly sometimes, but confidently out of those challenges and into something much better for our life. After working with many individuals and groups over many, many years, over 30 years, I've found that our goals and our dreams are often born out of the challenges we face or the pain we're experiencing. And that pain can be emotional pain or physical pain. And we have these 2 innate signals for growth. Each and every one of us have them within us. It's just that a lot of times we push them to the side, we bury them, we don't listen to them. But they send us little soft signals, little guidance for how we should live our life. They're our longings and our discontent. So the longings is that burning desire that's pulling you onto something more. Or the discontent is the pain or the challenges that we're experiencing, like I just mentioned. And often we push these down. We think, well, I really need to be grateful for what I've got. And I couldn't agree with you more. Gratitude is one of the most important things in life. And it's one of the things that I work with all of the time. And it's something that I really encourage is for us to be grateful for where we are right now. But that also, that gratitude is about recognizing and respecting that within us, we do have these feelings that come up. So I invite you to tap into that part of you, because it's these 2 essential energies that are essential to creating new results in your life, things that you would love, rather than staying stuck in the space that you're in. Sometimes it can feel like you're in this deep mud and you just can't move out of it. Or you're spiraling around and around and around in situations that feel like you're in a merry-go-round for your life. If you start to tap into these 2 essential energies, you're going to take the steps that you need to move yourself out of it and to start to reduce the stress that you're feeling in your life and step into the health and harmony that you desire. I invite you now to do this little activity with me. I'm going to give you 10 seconds in a moment. I'm going to show you pictures of all different bright and vibrant colored toys. I'm going to invite you to count as many as you can of the blue toys in 10 seconds I give you. Okay, let's go. Okay, stop. Now I invite you to close your eyes for me for a moment and recall how many green toys you saw. Have a think about it. Did you see more blue toys than green toys? Chances are you absolutely did. And the reason why you did is because you used a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system works like a mediator between your consciousness and awareness. So it draws to you everything you're looking for, and it will filter away from you the things that you're not looking for. And that's why often the thoughts that we have will draw to us all of those things we're thinking about. And when you think back to what I said earlier, that we have 90% of our thoughts are the same as the ones we had the day before, and 85% of those are negative. We go, why am I living the same things? Why does my stress level always feel to be way up high? It's because of the thoughts you're focusing on. They say that we know our intention through where we place our attention. And so many of us are unconsciously placing our attention on the thoughts that have been going on over and over and over again. For an example, how many times do you look in the mirror and unconsciously you absolutely are pulling yourself to pieces? I would suspect that most of you do that. I would suspect that you don't look at what's great about you. You're looking more at what's not so great about you in your mind's eye. So let's have a look at this thing, which I called the results formula. It starts with our thoughts. Our thoughts cause our feelings. It's really easy to demonstrate this. If we're thinking thoughts that are stressful thoughts, then we're activating that sympathetic response that I spoke about earlier. We're feeling like our heart's racing, our mouth becomes dry, all of those physiological responses I spoke about earlier. If we're having thoughts that are really happy, joyful thoughts, then we're releasing endorphins into our body. We're feeling amazing. We're feeling great. If we're thinking thoughts that are embarrassed thoughts, then we start to blush. So our thoughts can and do have a physiological effect on our body, and they cause our feelings. Our feelings then cause our actions or our lack of actions, depending on what our feelings are at the time. If you're feeling anxious or depressed, then often you're not going to want to act at all. You're perhaps going to want to lie in bed with the covers pulled over your head all day. If you're feeling really excited and confident, then your actions are going to reflect that. You're going to be stepping out into the world. You're going to get out there and do things that you really wanted to do. Take those steps you wanted to take. And our actions cause our results. So our thoughts, whoops, a bit too fast there. Our thoughts cause our feelings cause our actions, and our actions cause our results. But so many of us resist this. We look at our results, and our results might be that we're a certain age. And so many people I've worked with over the years have gone, I would love to be doing a different job within this career that I'm in, or perhaps even within a different career. But I can't because I'm too old, because I don't have the skills, because I don't have the knowledge. Or it could be that I would love to create a deep love in my life. I'm single at the moment, but I can't because I'm not outgoing enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not young enough. And we use these as excuses or our B causes. We all do it. Listen into yourself. Hear what you're using as a B cause to keep you stuck in the life that you're currently living, the stress that you're currently engaging in. If you want to know where it's all coming from, look here to your thoughts. Really start taking notice. Pause and notice what you're noticing. If you don't know what you've been thinking, look at your results, because your results never lie. Pretty powerful stuff. In the experience that Mary had, one of the things that the chaplain said to her was, Mary, everything is created twice. First it's in thought, and then it becomes form. And what I invite you to do now is to look around the room that you're sitting in. Everything that you can see was once somebody's thought, and then it became a thing. Was once somebody's thought, and then it became a result. You too have the same thing in your life. All of your thoughts are creating results in your life. Some of those results you're going to love, and some of those results are going to be causing you a great deal of stress and anxiety, and you're going to want to change them. And that's what we're going to do next. So are you ready to take the leap? Are you ready to step into this process of being able to change those thought processes that you have had? Okay. As I said to you before, gratitude is incredibly important in all of the work we do. And gratitude helps us to get on the thinking level of what we would love to create in our life. It helps us to feel better about ourselves, to feel better about life. And that's what we want to be doing. So to start with, as we move into this next stage of the visioning, I am going to share with you a beautiful little video. It only takes 5 or 6 minutes and it is incredible, and I hope you enjoy it. Sorry, I'm just going to share this computer sound with you. Take that back. Sorry about that.
I watch TV, it's just some shows that are pretend, and when you explore, you get more imagination than you already had. And when you get more imagination, it makes you want to go deeper in, so you can get more and see beautiful things. Like the path. If it's a path, it could lead you to a beach or something, and it could be beautiful.
You think this is just another day in your life? It's not just another day. It's the one day that is given to you today. It's given to you. It's a gift. It's the only gift that you have right now, and the only appropriate response is gratefulness. If you do nothing else but to cultivate that response to the great gift that this unique day is, if you learn to respond as if it were the first day in your life and the very last day, then you will have spent this day very well. Begin by opening your eyes and be surprised that you have eyes you can open. That incredible array of colors that is constantly offered to us for pure enjoyment. Look at the sky. We so rarely look at the sky. We so rarely note how different it is from moment to moment, with clouds coming and going. We just think of the weather, and even of the weather we don't think of all the many nuances of weather. We just think of good weather and bad weather. This day, right now, is unique weather. Maybe a kind that will never exactly in that form come again. The formation of clouds in the sky will never be the same that is right now. Open your eyes, look at that. Look at the faces of people whom you meet. Each one has an incredible story behind their face. A story that you could never fully fathom. Not only their own story, but the story of their ancestors. We all go back so far. And in this present moment, on this day, all the people you meet, all that life from generations and from so many places all over the world flows together and meets you here like a life-giving water if you only open your heart and drink. Open your heart to the incredible gifts that civilization gives to us. You flip a switch and there is electric light. You turn a faucet and there is warm water and cold water and drinkable water. It's a gift that millions and millions in the world will never experience. So these are just a few of an enormous number of gifts to which we can open your heart. And so I wish you that you will open your heart to all these blessings and let them flow through you. That everyone whom you will meet on this day will be blessed by you. Just by your eyes, by your smile, by your touch, just by your presence. Let the gratefulness overflow into blessing all around you. And then it will really be a good day.
Okay, I love that video. I love the message that it sends about gratitude, and I hope you really enjoyed that as well. And that's a starting point for this next step, which is about creating your vision. Think about the business, think about the school that you're in. All great businesses, all great companies have a vision of where they want to go. And our lives are so much more important than any business, than any company. And yet there's only 5% of people in the world, they say, who have a vision for our life and have it written down. So we can either be creating our life by default or we can create it by design. Today, I invite you to be in that top 5% and to create your life by design. And the first step to doing that is your vision. And you may say, well, what's that got to do about stress and about, de-stressing and stepping into health and harmony? Psychology is realizing the importance of having a vision in our life. And just to give you an idea, there was a study done back in 2014 of female engineers. And what they were finding were that so many female engineers were leaving the profession because it was so male dominated. And what they wanted to do was find out why were people leaving, and more importantly, why were the women staying? And the ones who were staying, they recognized were not only surviving, they were thriving within that industry. And the study showed that the women who persisted had a personal vision, and this enabled them to overcome the bias, the barriers, and the discrimination in the engineering workplace. And they linked this personal vision to their professional vision and their ideal self. And this is what I'm inviting you to do today. So I hope that you have a pen and paper in front of you. And I invite you to really take on board this next activity that we're going to do together. Really tap into yourself, into what you would love for your life. Ask yourself this question: what do you really want? What do you really want? Not what would my children love for me, or not would my husband or partner or wife want for me, or what would my parents want for me, or what would my friends want, or what would my work want? What do you really want for your life? I got to a point in my life and I never actually asked myself that question. I'd been so busy going through the motions of, I was a nurse, I was a wife, I was a mum. And I found myself at the time when my youngest daughter was about to leave home and go off to university. I had divorced from my first husband. My work was going really well. It was just chugging along. So that was great. And for the first time ever, I went, well, what do I want? And I had no idea. I had no idea. So I invite you to consider this question today. What do you really want? And clarity is power. The clearer you are with what it is you want, the easier it has to come into your, the more ease it has, I should say, in being able to come into your life. It's a bit like when you take plans to a builder, for example. And if you were to take a piece of paper that had written on it, I would love a big, beautiful home. Can you build me this? The builder would look at it and go, wow, that's really broad. I have got no idea even where to start with that. You don't. You take really detailed plans, exactly what you want, where you want it, where you even want the PowerPoints, everything. And the same is true with what you would love for your life. You have much clarity. You really think about what it is you would love. And use these 4 domains again. In these 4 areas of your life, ask yourself this question. What would I love? What would I love? I invite you to tap into your longings and your discontent because they guide you to where you want to be, and not to ask everybody else what you think you would love, because this is just for you. You are the only one who has your DNA. You are the only one who has your unique fingerprint. Nobody else has that. Only you. You're here for magnificence. You're here to really share the gift of you with the world. So many times we want to hide our beautiful brilliance. We want to hide our light. And you might say to me, well, I really don't have any great aspirations for my life. I just want to have love. I want to feel peaceful. And I want to enjoy what I do. Great. That's a great vision. So it's about writing that down, feeling into that. What does that really look like? Because that's a little bit broad. We think in pictures. We all think in pictures. If I was to say to you, think about your refrigerator door at home, I bet all of you could think of it straight away. An image comes into the screen of your mind. If I was to say to you, don't think about the Sydney Opera House. Don't think about its unusual architecture. Don't think about where it sits on the Sydney Harbour. What appears in the screen of your mind? Straight away, I bet all of you have seen in your mind the Sydney Opera House. So we think in pictures. I invite you in this exercise that we're just about going to do together to think about what it is you want, not what you don't want. Because if you do what I just said, you go, don't want to think about the Sydney Opera House, you're going to draw that to you exactly the same way as you did when we did the activity of tuning your attention. So you looked at those blue toys. If in your life at the moment, you've got things that you're not liking, but you're drawing your attention to them all the time, you're thinking about them. It could be the amount of money you have in your bank account, for example. So you're thinking about it all the time. You're, through those thoughts, creating the exact same thing. So I invite you to put those things on hold and to think about what you would really love. Now, we could all say in the line of money that we'd love $10 million, but if we've never experienced that sort of wealth in our life before, then I'd like to suggest to you your level of consciousness where you are at the moment, your level of awareness will not be able to hold on to that even if it came into your life. And that's why over 90% of people who are major lottery winners within 2 years of winning that have lost it all again, because the image they have in their own mind, and that's a whole different lecture, is not allowing them to hold on to that wealth. So as we go into this exercise, I invite you to ask yourself, what would I love in the areas of my life? There's a you seeking to emerge through you, just like that little blade of grass was seeking to emerge and come up through the cement, seeking the light. You are seeking a freer, fuller, more expanded life than the one you're currently living. You want less stress. You want more health. You want more harmony in your life. We all do. More love. So I invite you now to Just take a moment and connect to that breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And connect to gratitude as well. Really connect to the state of gratitude for that breath. And close your eyes if you haven't already. Imagine that in your lap is a book. Every single page is a day of your life. There are lots of pages on the right and lots on the left. The left are all written on. The right is blank, all the white pages. You have been given power. You have been given authority. Will these pages of your life be written by design or by default? This is your moment. So gazing from the highest point of view you can take, I invite you now to look down upon the landscape of your life and explore these 4 areas. Let's start with your health and well-being, recognizing the importance of that in your life. Just for a moment, call forth the image that you would love to be experiencing. If you're living with a full functioning body, how do you feel in that body? What is it like for you to get out of bed in the morning in that body? What activities are you engaging in? What foods do you eat? What beverages do you drink? What would you love for your body? What would you love for your mind? And really lean into that now, that image that you have in your mind. Feel yourself in it. Now for a moment, bring forth your love and relationships. If you're in a committed relationship at the moment with a special other person, do you long to deepen this? Would you like more harmony, more peace, more fun in that relationship, more intimacy? Or are you wanting to attract a loving relationship to your life? What do all of your relationships look like? Your relationships with your family, your relationships with your friends, your relationships with the students that you teach and nurture every day, the relationships with their parents, the relationships with your colleagues. What would you love for your relationships? How would you love to be experienced or accepted by others? And how would you love to accept them? Now think for a moment about your creative expression or your vocation or your career. What kind of work would you love to be doing in the world? Or how would you love to be up-leveling the work that you currently do? How could you bring more joy to that work situation? How could you bring more joy to your classroom, more fun to your classroom? What would it feel like to wake up in the morning and go, yes, I'm going teaching today. It feels amazing. What would you be doing for this to be your predominant feeling? How do you see yourself expressing your gifts to this world and in this life? And what would you love? In the area of your time and money freedom, what would you love in terms of money in your life? What would you do with that money? What would you do with your time? Would you go on a holiday? Would you have the home you've always wanted to have? Would you give in ways you've always wanted to give? What would you love? It's now the year 2023. And as you look at the life that you've just imagined, everything has turned out perfectly. You are living by that life. You're waking up in the morning and in those 4 areas, you feel amazing. All the challenges have been solved and you're now living the life of your dreams. In a moment, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write down what you see and what you felt in that experience. But for the purpose of this exercise, I only want you to focus on what you would love. I want you to put aside the how. Don't get caught up in that. Just imagine that a fairy godmother has come and asked you to make your wish, and you've said it to her, and dream big. Allow yourself to dream big. You encourage this in your students. Now I invite you to step into it in your own life. So bring yourself back to this room and open your eyes. You've now jumped into this amazing time machine, and it is the year 2023. So I invite you now to put your pen to paper and write down what you just saw. Start with, I am so happy and grateful now that, and be as grateful for it now as what you expect to be when that comes into your life. You have 2 minutes to write this down and let yourself dream big, as I said. Okay. Right. How did that go for you? I'm hoping that you enjoyed that experience, and I invite you, when you finish watching this whole video recording of the workshop, to really allow yourself to stop and to dream into this. Allow yourself to really ask yourself those questions in those 4 areas of your life. What would you love? And dream big. Really dream big. We're so caught in the circle of our own current experiences that often we don't see an option for us to step out of that and to have more, to be more, to give more, to do more than we currently have in our life. Today, I invite you and give you permission to step into that part of your life. The second thing we want to do, we've created our vision. First of all, we've looked at our thoughts. After breathing and really focusing on our breath and connecting to that breath, releasing those stress thoughts, we've then created the vision for what we would love in our life. Next thing, we need to decide for that vision. There was some research done at Stanford University, and this is what they say. According to research at Stanford University, it doesn't matter what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and last letter be in the right place. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. How did you go reading that? I bet you did really, really well. And it's exactly the same with what we want in our life, for our dream, for our vision, for our life. You start off with the first letter. That's where you are now. And you have a dream or a vision in mind. That's the last letter. You don't need to know the how, and the how is the in-between part. All of the other letters, your mind makes sense of it. And bit by bit by bit, you are guided into what step you need to take next by tapping into that longing and discontent. It's pretty awesome if you start doing it. This is another one of my mentors. His name is Bob Proctor, and he's an incredibly successful businessman, a world-renowned author, and he's also one of the leading teachers in human potential around the world. And he says, there is a single mental move you can make which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter, and it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. We have a name for this magic mental activity. It's called, do you have any ideas? What comes to your mind when I ask or when I make that statement? The answer is decision. It's all about making a decision. How many times have you been really indecisive about something, about the next step you need to take forward? And you feel really overwhelmed and stressed in this indecision. As soon as you go, I'm going to do this, it feels like this huge weight's lifted off you because you made a decision. It's a magic mental activity that can move us forward in our life. So you make a decision for your life. You must decide to live your life by design. You can decide to live your life by default if you want to as well. It just means that nothing changes and that you continue to live in the stress that you've been living in. So to make that decision, to go, yes, I'm actually going to start living the way I'd really love to live. The next thing you need to do is befriend your fear, because it's all going to come up for you. You'll be stepping outside of your comfort zone. And they say that's where the magic is, on the other side of our comfort zone. A 13th century Christian mystic, Hildegard de Bingen, said that you're starting to live on the green growing edge of your own becoming. Henry David Thoreau talks about there being an invisible boundary that we step through as we take the step in the direction of the dream that we would love to be living. All sorts of things reveal themselves to you. So sometimes it can feel a bit like this. You're overcoming your fear. You're befriending your fear. It means that when you're taking the steps to move in the pathway of what you would love in your life, there's going to be some fear because it's going to be the unknown for you. But by taking the steps I'm sharing with you here, you learn to kick it out of the driver's seat and to be friends with it. And it's like you've got two parts inside of you. And one part's going, yes, I'm going for this. I'm doing this. I feel really excited and motivated. I know that I deserve to have a life that feels so much better than what I'm currently living. But then there's another part of you that goes, oh my God, what's going on? What if I fail? Think back over your life so far. Has there ever been a time in your life where you failed at something? I know when I reflect on my life, there's been loads of times where I've failed at things. And I suggest that we all have. And it started when we were children. We learned to walk by falling down and getting up, falling down and getting up. And at no time did any one of us here go, well, that's just it. I'm not meant to be a walker. I'm going to remain a non-walker for the rest of my life. No. We kept going. We kept getting back up. When we're children and we're stepping into something we don't know, as you would all know as teachers of early childhood children, they enter into it with a feeling of curiosity, of wanting to learn, wanting to know. When we're adults and we're stepping into something that's unknown for us, we enter into it with a feeling of frustration. We get angry at ourselves. We feel this sense of, I just can't do it. I may as well give up. I'm inviting you in this workshop to really step into that curiosity, really allow your imagination to take flight within you. It's a powerful friend. All successful people are willing to fail and rise up again. That's how they've got to where they've been. But so often we can look at people who are successful and go, well, it was so easy for them. That's who they are. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some really successful Australians and what they've had to overcome, just so you know it's not always been like that for them. Kathy Freeman, what an amazing Australian. She overcome childhood sexual abuse and extensive racism When she was in school, she said as a young runner, she kept winning races, but she never received a trophy. Instead, she watched all the non-Indigenous girls who came after her receive the glory. That would have been enough for me to go, well, I'm just not meant, I'm never going to do any good. But not her. She kept going, and she went on to become the first Australian Aboriginal person to win an individual Olympic gold medal. And I think with everything that's going on in the world today, it's amazing to think about what she's overcome and how we're changing the world by really standing up against racism. It's an awesome thing. Janine Shepherd, she was a 24-year-old cross-country skier training for the Winter Olympics. She was hit by a truck while training. She broke her neck and her back and spent 6 months in hospital in a spinal ward. While she was still a partial paraplegic, she was ultimately able to walk again. How many of us would have gone, well, that's it. That's it for me. No more walking. She's gone on to have 3 children. She gained her pilot's license within a year of the accident, which I think is phenomenal in itself. Then she got her commercial pilot's license. Then she went on to get an instructor's license. Then she eventually trained to become an aerobatics flying instructor. How awesome is that? She could have easily gone, well, I'm just not meant for anything. I'm going to stay here in the spinal ward, and that's my life gone. She also is an accomplished author of 6 books. Pretty amazing achievements. Lane Beachley. She's more of a local woman, and she overcame chronic fatigue not once but twice around the ages of 20 and again at 23. And she describes crippling symptoms of exhaustion and depression. She was training. She wanted to become a great surfer. She overcome all of these symptoms and went on to win the first of what would be an unprecedented 6 consecutive world surfing titles. You know, a lot of us can get to this point and we can go, that's just it. I'm not meant to do this surfing. I'm not meant for this training. I'm not meant to keep going. But these people overcame what was standing in their way and they went on to greatness. What about this guy? Thor. Oh, what a hunk. We look at him and we go, wow, so easy for Chris Hemsworth. You know, he is an awesome guy and the world loves him. Well, not always. He talks in interviews that he battled with anxiety about being an actor. He said he felt he couldn't live up to the expectations that others had of him. How many times have you felt like that? Maybe in your personal life, maybe in your family life. You felt like you just could not live up to other people's expectations. His problems with anxiety contributed to his auditions falling apart and ultimately losing the roles ranging from G.I. Joe to playing Gambit in the X-Men Wolverine movie. Wow. He now went on and he's one of the highest paid actors in the world. Pretty awesome. These people didn't let failure or fear of failure get in the way. They befriended their fear and they kept taking the steps forward. And the same can happen for you. It doesn't matter how big or how little your dream is. If you want to change your life and step out of the stress you're currently experiencing, you can do it. But what happens when that fear gets in the way on an everyday life? First of all, know that fear and failure are prerequisites for achieving the great dreams that you have. And secondly, when fear arises, what do? Firstly, you reconnect to your vision, what you've started writing down here and what I encourage you to continue to do when you get off this call, off this webinar. And then ask yourself a question. What is one action step I can take today that would move me in the direction of my vision? Listen into yourself. Don't ask everybody else. Listen to your own guidance and then take that step. If I didn't believe this was impossible, and if I thought there was a way, what would I do? And do it. So what we covered today, the first thing was an easy exercise to de-stress. Remember, pause, connect to your breath. Know that you're not breathing yourself. You can't. You can't make your heart beat. Something is doing it for you and it's life. And then do the rectangular breathing. The power of our thoughts. Your thoughts cause your feelings, which cause your actions, which cause your results. In order to change the results or your circumstances, what's going on around you, we need to start with changing our thoughts. Recognize what they are, challenge them, and we change them. And the way we change them is through our system of visioning. And that's going to allow you to move into way more joy, harmony, and health in your life, which is exactly what we all want. Then Herophilus would say that we can have everything. My beautiful mentor, Mary Morrissey, said, inspiration without action is merely entertainment. I hope that you felt entertained by this workshop today, but more importantly, I hope that you feel inspired enough to be able to take the action that is needed to transform your life. Nobody else is responsible for your health and well-being. Nobody else can change the stress levels you're experiencing in your life, only you. It all starts with you. Yes, so this is the fun part. My free gift to you is I have a $250 gift for you, and it's a free coaching call. I have 7 calls, which I have donated as a part of the ECTA conference, and really excited to do so. And it's over the next week. What this is, it's a call that we talk one-on-one via the phone. It takes about an hour. We get really clear on where you are now and where you would love to be. And we map forward a plan that's exactly for you, to move you in the direction of where you would love to be. It's also an opportunity for me to answer any questions you may have regarding the workshop today. So I would love you to take up advantage of this. The way you can do this is either go straight to my calendar, and this is the link here, so please do that. When you do that, you will get sent a questionnaire, and if you fill out that questionnaire and send it back to me via the platform you receive it on, what that does, it allows me to have a look at what's going on for you and the questions that you've answered, and to really get an idea of the best way I can support you within that 1 hour call. Alternatively, you can email me at this address, insightfullife.me@gmail.com, and I will send you the questionnaire and we'll organize a time that works. So really exciting, has been valued at $250, and it's my honor and privilege to be able to give that to you today. Just want to recap on this, on making sure that you've taken away from this workshop today at least 6 strategies that you can use in your life. Also, one of those is your vision for your life, and working with that vision morning and night, allowing yourself to make that a part of your everyday experience. In order to change the patterns and all of those 90,000 thoughts that we have, those 60 to 70,000 thoughts, I should say, that we have every single day, we have to start thinking different ones. And this is the key. So I invite you to do that. You may even get a worksheet sent out from ECTA, which I've sent to them, and hopefully that will come with the workshop. Also, I'm really excited to be able to share with you, one of my dreams that I had was to be able to write a children's book. And I don't know if you can see it, it sort of fades into my screen here, but this is it. And it's called Thoughts and Dreams and Trampolines. And it's a children's book that I have written using and incorporating the tools that I have shared with you here today. I've been able to write the book, and my beautiful friend, Lisa Elms, has been the illustrator on this, and the illustrations are incredible. So it's very, very, very exciting work that we've done together, and we're currently in the process of completing our 2nd book that we're having to have written for children and illustrated for children as well. So really exciting. This book is available at www.balboapress.com. And just to give you an idea of the power of this, I saw after we'd written it and illustrated it and had it out there being published, one of the things that Jim Carrey says is that when he was a little boy, he had a teacher, a substitute teacher, who came in and spoke to their class. And she told them about when she wanted something, she just asked God for it. And then she said, she got it. And he went, well, I'm going to go home and do that. And essentially, when she's asking for it, she's creating a vision, she's creating a dream that she has for life. So a young Jim Carrey, I think he was about 10 years old at the time, and he came from quite a poor family, went, I want a bike. I want a push bike. And so he went home and he decided, after having this teacher, that he was going to ask God for a push bike. And so he did. And he went about thinking about this push bike and dreaming about this push bike. And he said 2 weeks later, he gets home from school, and lo and behold, there in the living room is a brand new push bike. And his parents go, that's your push bike. He goes, wow, where did that come from? And apparently, unbeknownst to him, a friend of his had entered him into a raffle, and the raffle was for this push bike. So, you know, when I said to you, you don't need to know the how, you just take the steps you can. This is how it works. It's really, really powerful. Jim Carrey has used these tools that I've shared with you today, gone on to get $10 million, a $10 million check, a really interesting story. But I've put this into a beautiful little story and illustrations, and this is it. It's called Thoughts and Dreams and Trampolines. So please enjoy this. It's for children aged from about 6 to 9 years. And my friend and I have gone around and done readings at Stanny schools and Montessori schools, and the feedback we've got's been amazing. We're really excited about it. Okay, to finish this off, I want to share with you an autobiography in 5 short chapters. So chapter 1, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It's my fault. It takes forever to find my way out. Chapter 2, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I still don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. It isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's habit. It's my fault. I know where I am. I get out immediately. Chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down a different street. And that was written by Portia Nelson. Really, really wise. And it demonstrates so easily how we get caught in a circle of stress and a circle of thinking the same thoughts that keep us getting the same results. Today, I've shared with you tools, strategies that you can use and incorporate into your life that will help you walk down a different street. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining the ECTA conference. And it has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to be able to do this workshop with you here today. And to leave you with whatever you can do or dream you can begin it, because boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And so do you. And that comes from the amazing Wolfgang von Goethe. And I really, really treasure this saying. And it's something that I want to leave all of you with. So whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you on your call. So bye for now.